What's up, everyone? Welcome to the February 26th edition of DraftKings Tournament Plays presented by PrizePicks. I'm your host, Adam Scherer. You can follow me on Twitter at ShipMyMoneyDFS. And as a reminder, you get one free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum when you sign up and make a deposit at PrizePicks. Be sure to use the code Awesemo to receive a 100% first deposit bonus up to $100. This is the first Saturday edition of this video, and we'll be keeping that going for the foreseeable future, running it out on Saturdays now as well. Going to take a look at 5 of the top tournament options on DraftKings as things currently stand. Starting at number 5, Ish Smith projected for about 10% ownership with a 13% chance of being in the optimal lineup. He's a $4,200 point guard option. Since joining the Wizards, Smith has played about 110 minutes. He's averaged 1.08 DraftKings points per minute. And I do think that the uptick in production is sustainable for Smith on this team because they just don't have the number of playmakers or scorers that the Charlotte Hornets had, where Smith was earlier in the year. And it's pretty much in line with what he did with the Wizards previously before he left the team and went to Charlotte. So I do buy into the production. The bigger question is how many minutes is he going to play? We know that he typically splits 48 minutes with Raul Neto. Normally, he's going to be on the lesser end of that, getting 20 to 21 minutes, while Neto plays 27 or 28. But we did get a game a couple of games ago, I should say, where Smith got the closing minutes, got up to 28 minutes. Anytime that happens, he's going to work out at 4,200 because usually if that happens, it means he's playing well. And if he's playing well, he's probably getting more fantasy points than usual. So the combination of producing at an above average rate and also getting more minutes means he's paying off his salary. Also on the slate, we just don't have a lot of really good value right now. So it makes it a little bit more appealing to roll the dice on someone like Smith. And then you also sort of have backdoor outs to get there as well. Washington's coming off of a double overtime game against San Antonio last night. So there's some percent chance that Neto, who played 36 minutes last night, just intentionally plays fewer minutes tonight and Smith plays more. There's some chance that Cleveland blows out Washington. It's still only an 8-point spread, but there's some chance that happens and maybe Smith gets a little bit of garbage time. Point being, in a competitive game, Smith can get there. And if kind of weird or unforeseen things happen, he has alternative ways to get there as well. Number 4, Pascal Ciaco projected for 12% ownership with a 14% chance of being in the optimal lineup. Siakam struggled last night against the Charlotte Hornets. Most of Toronto did. They were just smacked by the Hornets in Charlotte, but comes back tonight and he is still pretty cheap. You have a $9,100 price tag, power forward and center eligibility. And in the games that Siakam has played with Fred VanVleet active this season, he's averaged 1.16 DraftKings points per minute. He's also averaged 37.4 minutes per game. It's likely that if this game against Atlanta is competitive, that he plays a couple minutes more than that as well. So I like getting back to Siakam. Pretty good bounce back spot tonight against Atlanta. Number 3, staying in that same game, Kevin Huerter projected for 12% ownership with a 16% chance of being in the optimal lineup. He's only $4,500 and he has shooting guard and small forward eligibility, which is useful. One thing to keep in mind with Huerter is that in his last game, he played a little bit north of 35 minutes. That's not normally going to be the case. DeAndre Hunter left that game in the first half with an illness. Atlanta didn't really go deeper into their bench. They basically just gave more minutes to Huerter, Gallinari, and Bogdanovic than they would normally get. But you're still going to get around 30 to 32 minutes on average from Huerter. He's averaged 0.75 DraftKings points per minute in the games that he has started with Trae Young active this year. He's just a little bit underpriced in a game with a 226 total on a slate that doesn't have a lot of value. Number 2, Thaddeus Young projected for 9% ownership with a 16% chance of being in the optimal lineup. Young is only $3,200. He has power forward and center eligibility. Young played about 21 minutes for Toronto last night. We know that OG Anunoby's not going to be active again tonight. So that's 2 straight games now, one without Fred VanVleet, one without OG Anunoby, where Young has played about 21 minutes off the bench. Since joining Toronto in a very limited sample, he's only produced 0.85 DraftKings points per minute. But overall this season, he's at 1.07 DraftKings points per minute. And if he gets 20 to 22 minutes, he looks like one of the better point per dollar values on tonight's slate. And number 1, coming in as my top tournament option on DraftKings, Kevin Love is $5,600 with power forward and center eligibility. He's projected for about 13% ownership, but has a 22% chance of being in the optimal lineup. Love was very, very disappointing in his last game. He only played about 17 minutes, which was really surprising, and scored like 11 fantasy points, which also surprising. But I don't think there's any real reason to think that he's just going to play 17 minutes going forward. Yes, Lauri Markkanen is back, but we had a couple of games in early January where Darius Garland was out, Colin Sexton was out, and Love still managed to play around 28, 29 minutes, even with Markkanen, Mobley, and Allen active. Then in the more recent games where Markkanen was out and Garland was out, you were getting that similar playing time for Love. Tonight, you have no Garland, no Levert, obviously no Sexton. Rubio's gone. Rajon Rondo is also out. So I think it's likely that you see increased playing time for Kevin Love here because they signed Tim Frazier to a 10-day. He maybe gets some backup point guard run. But you could also see a situation where Cedi Osman is the backup point guard and everyone kind of moves up a position and it opens the door for Love to get more minutes. But one way or another, I think that you are likely to get at least 24 minutes from Love. Love has averaged 1.27 DraftKings points per minute this season and has a favorable matchup against Washington. So I view it as a situation where as long as he gets to like 24 minutes, he's going to do well at $5,600 most likely against the Wizards. And if he does happen to find his way into 28 or 29 minutes, he can pretty quickly become a play that you have to have in tournaments. So to recap, the top 5 options for me on DraftKings as things currently stand: number 5, Ish Smith; number 4, Pascal Siakam; number 3, Kevin Huerter; number 2, Thaddeus Young; and number 1, Kevin Love.